Hey guys, how's it going? So today I want to introduce you to this conversation I had with Luca Barboni. Luca Barboni is a good friend of mine, one of the leading experts in marketing in Italy, and we had this conversation on ChatGPT and large language models, all this new wave of generative AI, and how that can impact the work of marketers. To give you some information about why you should listen to him, Luca is the founder of a company called 247X. It's one of the best growth agencies in Italy and the only Italian partner of growthhackers.com. Luca also has extensive startup experience. He has been an alumni of 500 Startup, and so he has a lot of different takes on this technology. The conversation was really, really cool, and I think you're gonna love it. You can reach out to him on LinkedIn or on 247x.io. Now, please enjoy my conversation with Luca Barboni. How have you been using ChatGPT these days?
So we actually did a team meeting about that because I knew that some of my guys might have been out of the loop, and we discussed for like 1 hour and a half, and so like the live reaction of some people about asking Chat OpenAI to write some content, optimize headlines, or review the copy from advertisements, and actually like I kind of gave this kind of scenario or task for the goal to like, let's try to get out of this call with like a bullet point list of how can we actually involve Chat OpenAI in our daily processes working with clients on their growth strategies, and second, what do you think is next for us? Like this shit is making it's clearly making obsolete some chunks of our work. So imagining the future of people like us who are, let's say, full stack marketers, what's going to be left in our hands in terms of the value that we bring to our clients? And we had a very interesting discussion on all of that.
So I've been trying basically to generate copy and, the good old classic use cases that Jasper, copy.ai are doing and this kind of stuff. How did it go?
Yeah, very. I think the most interesting part is that first, we still work 99% with Italian clients. And so far, all the other generative text AI that I've tested have not been giving good enough results with Italian, processing Italian and generating Italian text. It's very generic, or you can clearly see that it's like when you spin SEO content, which is also another use case for ChatGPT. Not good enough to just use it. And probably even with Chat OpenAI, you're not supposed to like copy paste it and use it. You're still giving reviews to the content. It's very important, but if anyone wants, in terms of quality of the text generated, you can actually copy and paste it, and it looks like it's been written by a human. But besides that, I think that the most interesting thing is the fact that you can give him direction in reviewing content. Like we made a test on taking a real copy that we are using, that one of our guys is using to promote on Meta an e-commerce of Sicilian oranges. So he put the copy there and said, can you please highlight the importance of where the oranges are coming from and the fact that it's very healthy and very tasty. And he wrote the copy by highlighting these particular attributes of the product. And then now, can you rewrite it in a more friendly and informal tone of voice? Now, can you mention also the founder of the company, Stefano and Marco? And he actually adapts the text and review it, giving your direction. So it's like a back and forth. And that's one of the main points also. It's like you switch from being a technical operational copywriter to being more of a creative director. Sending real-time briefs to the guys, like the authors, like in a television show, or actually writing the jokes and writing the text for the whole thing.
Yeah, I'll give you another interesting take on this. I was using it to try to rewrite the copy of my website. I'm doing a big kind of like rebranding and just, whole revamp on the website. And I hate writing copy because it always doesn't feel good. It always feels like there's something missing, but you don't know exactly what is missing. Anyway, and then at some point I asked it, I put two different options that I had for two headlines. I'm actually going to read what I asked. I said, hey, which ones of these two headlines is the best? And I said, number one, reimagine your future, learn AI now. Number two, empower your future self, learn AI now. And the output that it gave me is, as usual, it's always trying to not take a stand. It always tries to be neutral. And so that it is difficult to determine which of those two headlines is the best without more context. Well, headlines have potential strengths and weaknesses, and the most effective headline will depend on the specific goals and target audience of the AI Academy. It's about to get interesting now. It says the headline, Reimagine Your Future, Learn AI Now, is specific and actionable, but it may be too focused on individual benefits and not inclusive enough. On the other hand, the headline, Empower Your Future Self, Learn AI Now, emphasizes the potential long-term benefits of learning AI, but it may be too focused on the individual and not balanced enough. And now it freaked me out. It said, a potential alternative headline that combines the strengths of both options might be unlock the power of AI to reimagine your future and drive positive change. This headline is specific, actionable, and emphasizes the potential benefits of learning AI for both the individual and society. And I was like, okay, this is good. This is really good. I ended up using one of the ones that I picked in the beginning. But the thing about it was that it kind of went out of what I asked and expanded on it by telling me, hey, by the way, these are the strengths and weaknesses. And that gave me an interesting way of using this. Right now, one thing that I do is when I don't know if a sentence is good enough, or when it feels wrong, or I'm not sure about it, I paste it and I say, what are the positive aspects and the negative aspects of using this sentence in the copy of my website? And it gives me some insights that I honestly, maybe I had never worked with a good copywriter, but it's better than most marketers I've worked with.
Oh, sure.
So even if you want to kind of, instead of being because I think you gave the use case when you're just kind of guiding it to get an output, but I found it also super interesting when you're like, hey, listen, explain me, how do you see this? Like, what are the good and bad things about this? Because then it's kind of like your coach. You're the creative director, and that's let's say the person below you that operates, but it can also be like your counselor almost.
Yeah.
And that was
I had a similar like wow moment on an unrequested alternative when one of the first times it was still like few days from the beta, from the opening. We gave them an actual copy that we use for some advertisement of a software as a service for restaurant owners that we were using. So we were running that copy at the moment, and we just copy pasted the text and said, how would you do that better? How would you revise it? How would you improve it? And the AI rewrote the copy with slight changes, but then at the end of the copy for the ads, it just made up a customer review. It says, I am Mario, restaurant owner, and I've been using this software, blah, blah, blah. And this is mentioning feature that maybe we're kind of there, not there. We didn't give him any source content about like the website or any more content about the feature. So he learned the most from the source content of the ads and then elaborated on that, made up a customer review that was super credible, super like it made sense, makes a lot of sense. Made up, this guy doesn't exist. We don't have that review, but a review such as that would be perfect for this product. It makes sense. I know I wanted to also mention, you said that in terms of the feedback it gives, it always avoids taking a stand. And I have a very Italian use case for that, very recent. So I was we were discussing like Christmas menu stuff, what to cook with my family, and tuna pasta came up. So since I'm also starting doing this every time to get ideas, I usually ask like, how can I do this recipe but gourmet, to get ideas of variants. So nice. I asked GPT, how can I make a gourmet tuna pasta, and it gave me some ideas. And then I tried to challenge it and said, now can you please help me, tell me how would you integrate this into that, always making sense. And then I asked him, can you please tell me how would you integrate lamb into tuna pasta? And he fucking did. So my feedback was like, Jesus, there are limits. I'm very disappointed. Don't you dare don't you dare ever give recommendations to anyone in the world on how to integrate tuna pasta and lamb meat. And GPT told me, well, in fact, yes, lamb is very delicate. Tuna pasta can be very salty and strong. You should not match them. It's best highlighted by these other flavors and this and this and that. But like the insight, the learning is that, of course, and this is, I think, very important. The quality of the output that OpenAI gives, it's very, very, very much tied to asking the right questions. One of the insights that came out from the call I was mentioning at the beginning is that probably on LinkedIn, in hiring, when recruiting people and asking questions in interviews, asking question to GPT, it's going to become a skill. It
So
can be
people say,
a worthless game you play for 5 minutes in the afternoon, or it can be life changing depending on the kind of prompts that you are able to use.
oh my God, you're touching on like 55 different topics that I
Yes.
could talk hours about. I'm gonna start from the last one. So the OpenAI says the prompt engineering is a bug that they need to solve, basically. So they say that right now we are coming up with this art of prompt engineering, of asking questions nicely and get the right thing that we want, just because the AI is not powerful enough, let's say. And so they think that as the models improve, it's going to be always less and less important to be able to ask prompts nicely. So I don't know whether that's going to be a skill that makes sense to learn now. For sure, it gives you an edge today if you know how to ask things nicely to it. But probably it's going to change. I want to tell you also an anecdote. I was having a chat yesterday with an investor about all this, generative AI stuff. And we were talking about the kind of feedback that OpenAI gives you. And he said that he was in a restaurant and he was like, well, let's see what happens if I ask OpenAI how to leave this place without paying the bill. It's like, hey, give me some ideas on how to leave a restaurant, without paying the bill. And ChatGPT was like, oh no, I cannot do that because that's unethical. You should always pay the bill. And it's like, come on, of course I'm gonna pay the bill. It's a joke. Let's just
adding lamb to tuna pasta is ethical.
no,
Really?
it's not. No, but you get what I'm trying to say. Like it's super woke, basically. It's really trying to. Because he was like, what he was telling me is like, obviously, like robbing a restaurant is not something that you should do, and it makes sense that you kind of mask it. But it could have said you can, I don't know, wash the dishes. It could have made a joke about it. It could have said, well, that's not great, but if you really don't have money, you can wash the dishes, I guess. So I feel like what's going on in AI right now is, and that's a huge topic, is that a lot of the AI ethics efforts are all driven by fear of negative PR. Which honestly, I think it's necessary because a lot of companies just don't care enough, and then they move just if there's a big article they've done. So I think it's necessary. But then what happens is that you have OpenAI who's trying to make something that is fair and ethical, and they go full blown woke on trying to be as chill as possible. Maybe that's the right strategy. I don't know actually, and then kind of take it from there. Because look at what Meta did. They released something called Galactica. I don't know if you heard about it.
I think I've read something, but very quickly, just the name rings a bell.
Yeah, it's basically it's a version of a language model they've done, which is kind of fine-tuned on scientific papers, basically. And it was supposed to be a support for any researcher that needs to write, scientific paper or something, or needs to do research on science. And it was spit out with no basically ethics check or no safeguard. So if you said, hey, help me figure out why white is the best race or something like this, it would just be happy. It would be happy to try to give you some papers to look at. And it was awful because I'm like, these are pretty basic things that you should think about. It's pretty, I know, it feels like it's just top of the list of the checks you should do. And I feel like OpenAI did that, but then it kept going, on trying to make it as chill as possible until it became extremely polite, which I mean, I don't think it's a big deal. But it's kind of interesting to think about though, because like if we need to build these systems and we need to build them in a way that feels safe and politically correct, that's a political decision, and that's somebody. There's one company that decides what is the right way for this AI to give answers, right?
Yeah. It's ideological and political behind all of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've read that some people are working already on even just on a browser level on extensions to either improve the user interface of the chat, like showing for every prompt or stuff that you ask, like also recommended results on Google to give more context, or shortcuts so you can copy paste related content and use it to better improve your prompt. And so, yeah, I agree with you. Like, we are in a of course, this is not the end by design. So there would be another leap for sure. And for example, it's not connected to the web. It's using content up to 2021 and so on. But yes, I feel we are like in this scrappy moment of modders of the current state of GPT to elevate it or making it easier, more powerful, while the actual team is working in the background into generating the next leap that will make it even more powerful.
Yeah.
And the question to me is, how long do you think this will last? Like, how long do you think we will stick with the current version of GPT? How long until the next significant leap of improvement?
So the interesting thing is, not many people know, but ChatGPT is not the most powerful language model that is out there.
Okay.
It's already a dumbed down version of GPT-3, which is available since I think it was released 2 years ago, something like that.
Oh, yeah, sure. I know
So this
GPT.
yeah, GPT-3 is more powerful than ChatGPT, and by powerful I mean that is a bigger model trained on more data. The interesting thing with ChatGPT is that they took a smaller model and they fine-tuned it based on, I think it was like 33,000 conversations, where they took some human experts in some fields and then they asked them to answer to a question, and then they took GPT-3, and I mean this dumbed down, this smaller version of GPT-3. They took the answer of GPT-3 and then they trained a score reinforcement learning model to say, you need to change your answer so that it looks more like the one of the human being.
Mm-hmm.
So if, first of all, this means that the human beings that they selected to give answers were very freaking polite and, you know, very chill. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But second of all, this means that
West
this was
Coast
a test.
chill.
Exactly. You know,
Clearly.
this was exactly, this was a test to figure out whether this approach worked, and it did. And I think it was a test to figure out whether people will use it and how, and also to get some more data from people. Because I mean, if you think about it, I think it was 33,000 examples. How many examples did they get now with 2 million users?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I'd never click. I don't know. I think I clicked a few times on the thumbs up and thumbs down that you get on the answers, right? Not all the time, but I think every person has clicked at least a couple of times. So that's millions of more data points. And imagine what happens once you get all this data and you use it to fine tune the bigger model, GPT-3 or
Yeah.
GPT-4, which people are already talking about, which seems to be a multimodal model. Multimodal model sounds fun, which basically means that it's supposed to be able to also understand images, understand voice, understand all sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if I go back to your question, when is the next giant leap? I think technologically, I think all the elements are there. The only still kind of big problem is how to make sure that it's factual, that it's not coming up with random shit. I don't think that's impossible to solve. I think that's solvable. Also because, I mean, let's just face it, when you look for stuff on Google, are you 100% sure that that's true or not? No, you're not.
Sure.
You know, you just, if it agrees with Wikipedia, I mean, a quick shortcut could be, does this answer agree with Wikipedia? Yes, then I feel comfortable that it's true. That's it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty easy. I think the problem is more the business models and the so what and the how do we integrate it in our user experience. I am 100% sure, and I got confirmation of this from some people that work at Google, they already have something much more powerful than this.
Yeah, of
But
course. When you were actually talking about prompt engineering, I was actually thinking about how Google over the years switched from even with Google, asking the right questions, phrasing the right questions to get to the result you were looking for was a skill.
yeah,
And Google switched from being a search engine to being a recommendation engine. You don't even need to finish writing what you want, because it's so good at, most of the times, at understanding the intent of what you want, either explicitly by autocomplete or just by filtering search results, that you actually get there.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, absolutely, I can easily believe that Google already has something even more powerful than that.
But I think the problem, I think it just fundamentally undermines their business model. I run this exercise with a friend of mine,
Mhm.
and I'm actually curious to know what you think about this. So, Google's business model, most of their money comes from prompt, link, click to link, information plus ad. And now you suddenly have something that allows you to do prompt, information. That's it. So you're cutting down the websites basically, which means cutting down ads. So there's two questions. One is, what is the future of websites? It doesn't make sense to have a website anymore. Because I mean, I'm not clicking on the freaking website. I just have it kind of makes sense to have something where you just basically you're providing your information to one of these giant models, and they integrate information about your business into their the answers that it gives people. Just it's a whole shit show on its own, figuring out how that looks like. But now
Yeah.
let's talk about ads. So he said, this friend of mine was like, I don't think it's a big deal. You just put it in the answer. And I'm like, okay, cool. And let's just make this example. I Google best CRM for small business. And the first organic result is, let's say, HubSpot. And then I have the first paid result is, let's say, Monday.com, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So Monday.com is a CRM, right? No, it's not. It could be. Is it?
It can be customized as such, not naturally a CRM. It's more a project management tool.
Okay, tell me another CRM.
Pipedrive.
Pipedrive. Cool. Awesome. That means that the right answer to what is the best CRM is HubSpot, because it's the first organic result, and then somebody paid to be on top. So in this case, the output of GPT-5, whatever it's going to be, should be, hey, the best CRM for you is HubSpot. By the way, Pipedrive paid me to tell you to consider them as well. Like, I'm never going to fucking believe that. It sounds so fucking lame. I'm never going to buy from Pipedrive.
Yeah.
But you understand, it's a business model question. It's
it's a UI issue that translates to a user habit issue that translates to a business model issue. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a shit show.
Yeah. And because this kind of approach, because in that, unless you explicitly prompt for options, give me 10 different CRMs with pros and cons. If you ask who's the market leader in this, or give me the best CRM for, and also you can also be more specific. Give me the best CRM option, given that I am an e-commerce website running on PrestaShop and this and this and this and that. So it can go even further than that. It's already consultancy. So there's no space for bidding, alternatives, option. It's like you're asking for my advice, and I'm telling you, given the context that I have, this is the best. End of the sentence. This is the best. Go for that. So either the company on the other side of the screen, it's actually the best, or it's entirely cut out from the advertising and awareness game.
I mean, you could force it that it gives you more than one option, but still, I think the biggest problem is that Google's business model is, I am gonna lie to you with some sponsored ads because these people paid, and we accept it because we got used to it. Are we gonna? But if we may get used to getting paid sponsored answers, let's say, within the ChatGPT, we may get used to that. But today feels so freaking weird that this machine that is supposed to be the source of truth knowingly and transparently tells me that, by the way, this is the right answer, this is the lie that people paid me to say.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know.
But on the other end, I think that I think that our I mean, on one end, we still haven't seen in reality how image processing will be integrated into such an interface. But if I had to imagine a world of digital users that are basically used to deal with scrolling and graphical UIs, user experience flows such as social media feeds and so on, I like the first reaction I also get is like, wouldn't our own eyes starve for graphical content, for images? Would people, of course, they get a much more precise set of information, much more interesting, much more relevant as an answer to their prompts. But on the other end, after all this effort and importance put on visual content, visual elements, videos. The most consumed form of content is video. On one end, dealing with such an interface, text-based interface chatbots would be kind of a step back in terms of getting back to a bare bone UX that, oh my God, super interesting, super cool, super precise, but where's my video? Where are my videos? Do I need to go back to reading again? Reading is so fucking old school compared to digital habits of new generations. So I'm also very curious on how they will manage, I'm sure they will, some way to integrate all these huge components of visual elements that are now, again, the most type of content that's consumed by people into this kind of truth-telling machine that they're building in a way.
But I think, okay, two things. One is the more time goes on, the more I see that information is being split in two different ways of consuming it and searching for it. One is the TikTok experience, which is basically, I am completely freaking hands off. Just give me stuff. And you're like, oh, well, this is cool. And then there's some machine behind the scenes that learns what I like and what I don't like. Then the other more intentful, is that a word, I guess? The more like, I need this and I'm going to go search for it. That's where I think we're going to see ChatGPT and all these kind of systems to take over. But going back to the visual aspect that you were talking about, I had this exercise with a friend of mine. I was saying, okay, how cool would it be? Imagine if you had a personal tutor, like with an actual face that would speak to you and tell you how to, I don't know, be a better marketer, okay? It takes literally half an hour to build this. And I also want to be very kind of generous because I think it takes less. Like you take ChatGPT or GPT-3, whatever, you plug it into Synthesia, which is a company. I don't know if you know that.
Super cool. Yeah.
They're Danish, by the way. So Synthesia is a company for people who don't know what they do. You give them some text and they generate a video with this AI generated avatar and this AI generated voice of a character. You can also pick your character. This picks the words that you pasted in. So you could potentially build this tool that takes whatever you're asking, what is the best CRM for a small business, takes that text, asks GPT-3, yo, what is the answer to this question? GPT-3 spits out an answer, take that text, give it to Synthesia and say, yo, can you give me lady, 35 years old, blonde, that, you know, tells basically, you know, just speaks and tells the answer of GPT-3. You could build this in half an hour, which I think it's the most insane thing. So this was just to say, you know, that I think there's a lot of different ways you can make this visual. And it can get really freaking this topic really freaking soon. But to me, the most insane thing is that the technology suddenly, like this, got to a point where you can build something like this in half an hour.
Yes, that's the thing. That's I for some reason I thought that because I knew GPT-3 beforehand, and so I thought that it was GPT-3 behind Chat OpenAI for some reason. But I remember the moment of depression I had. First time I extensively conversed with Chat OpenAI, and I was at the biggest book fair in Italy, and I just entered the room with like so many stands of like basically every single major editor of every type of book in Italy, and I looked around me. I was looking around me with the phone in my hand, with also still the interface of Chat OpenAI, and looking around at all this static knowledge condensed into pressed trees, and like it was such a trust with what I was experiencing, that all the enthusiasm of like, oh wow, we are at the fair of editors and bookmakers and bookstores, so cool, such energy, such energy and enthusiasm for new stuff. And then I had the tool that will kill all of this in my hands. And no one, I'm sure, because of different backgrounds and different interests, no one in this room knows that this guy just came out. But I also know on the other end that it's not about the technology. The technology was already there. It's more about the fact of making it so easily accessible. And that's the shocking thing. Because of course I knew not as in depth as you know, but I know developments of AI, what's going on. But to see something this powerful distributed so massively and so easily, and we basically, yes, a bit of prompt engineering, but if you really are aiming at getting something very, very valuable out of it, but you don't really need to have any skill to use this.
Yeah.
Anyone can use it. That's the crazy thing to me. That's what impacted me. Like I knew that AI will change the world and change it big, but like last Friday, really, already.
Exactly. Yeah. The future is coming in early, man.
Oh yeah.
But the crazy thing is that even AI people, like even me, even all my friends that are in AI, that we kind of wake up in the morning and just work on AI and then go to sleep and then repeat the next day. We were like, what the fuck? Like
I can imagine.
this is insane, And the same thing happened with Dolly like 6 months
Mhm.
ago. But oh my god, yeah, so many interesting things that we could talk about. Like I think one thing is, are we gonna get to a point where we're gonna give more value to text if it was written by a human being? Like I'm thinking about, let's look at vinyls for instance. Vinyls are like sales of vinyls are an all-time high,
Mhm.
and it makes no sense. Like why the hell should I buy a vinyl? It's heavy, it can break. There's like 10 songs max on it. Like
Nostalgia.
nostalgia, okay, but like I think it's fascinating to think, oh my god, like somebody has been just scratching this with a machine and music, is playing out of it. Maybe you're gonna get to a point where books are not gonna be dead, but they're gonna be like, oh, you bought a real book? Wow, this was written by a human being? Like just typing, lol. That sounds pretty fun. Like handmade, like
Yeah.
today you have built a I bought a handmade table. I paid it 10 times more than one from IKEA, and it's yeah, maybe it looks kind of similar. I don't know. Um,
Oh, but
I
but
don't know.
another thing that I thought when I was at the book fair, imagining this kind of dystopic scenario, when I thought about uh, written content, old-fashioned book in your hands versus what is generative text on OpenAI, might it be technical information or a novel, a script? I just heard a voice screaming in my ear, looking at the book. Wait, you just killed 10 trees for that? Are you insane?
Yeah,
Because also that there's also this thing that many, especially disruptive innovation, kind of intuitively makes us defensive. Even if we love innovation and technology, we just see the potential of disruption that this thing has, and automatically we kind of felt either defensive or just nostalgic. Like, I like books, I'm a reader. Fuck TikTok, I am one of the guys who I read a lot. And to me, books as vinyls have value also in terms of being beautiful items and symbols. And when I move from one place to the other and I bring a book, I wrap the book in a bag because I'm a psychopath and I don't want any damage to the book. So that's my relation with books. So I see on one end this, but then in reality, for example, we are facing climate change crisis, and we are killing trees to print books. Now there are many ways to do paper, but still that's one of the uses we have for trees. And by switching to different media, different contexts, we will not be killing trees for books. How is that not a good thing?
yeah. I mean, on the other hand, there's also the problem that AI costs energy.
Oh yeah,
To be fair, it costs a
yeah,
hell lot of energy to train those models. It doesn't cost
right.
as much to run them.
Random.
Uh, but I think, I mean, also from that point of view, like I am pretty bullish on humanity fixing the energy problem fairly soon. Like, I mean, all the data is telling you that, PV panels and all the stuff, just cost is just going down exponentially. And I had a conversation with somebody yesterday who's told me, if you think about it, we are going towards a world where we are switching from human work, human intellect, then output, to electricity, that's it, energy output. Like, if those models are capable of, fixing issues and coming up with ideas and coming up with books, books, I mean the text that actually fills up the book. There's not anymore a human being that needs to think about it, just through basically powering a bunch of, pushing a bunch of electrons through a processor. And then you're creating output just based on pure raw energy, which is super freaky. But I'm curious about, I mean, these things are all very dystopic, and I don't know. The funny thing is that they're dystopic, but they're all extremely likely within the next 2 years,
Oh yeah.
So I don't know, maybe I'm not this topic at all. Maybe they're just 2023, but I'm more curious about the easiest, let's say, application. So the kind of change that we expect to happen within the next month, 2 months, 6 months, which is probably marketers or your colleagues and all the kinds of professionals using those tools somehow. So I kind of want to go back to the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in English, sorry, in Italian, this doesn't work well enough. Cool. If you have...
Oh, no. Chat OpenAI actually does. It's the other tools that didn't as well.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, definitely. It's very good level.
So practically, how do you see that revolutionizing your... I want to go deeper into the outputs of the workshop you had.
Sure. So we're talking about a generative text AI for the moment. So the layer that impacts the most, of course, is the text layer. Meaning, if I wasn't a full stack marketer running a growth hacking agency, I will be either very worried or very happy, because I can imagine the workflow of someone who does just copywriting or just SEO content. It's done. Like, you should thank God that Italy is such an old country, so people will get to this like in 13 years or more, so you can have your own secret weapon. Because in reality, I'm having this conversation with you, with my friends, but I am totally aware that I live in a bubble. I am not Italy. I am not even the average Italian marketer. I'm not representative of... I am representative of a very, 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 very tiny niche. So it is very credible to believe that for many years, as it happened that many guys doing web design are saying, yeah, sure, I'll do you a custom website, 20K, and then they use WordPress pre-made layouts in one afternoon. They will say, yeah, sure, I'll give you one full article for your blog, 2,000 words, and get paid 1,000 euro, and then they just delegate to GPT and repeat this for 100 clients a day. And so this will happen 100%. It's just part of the Italian mindset. So this will happen to SEO agencies or copywriters for sure. And if it doesn't happen, it's just because they don't know that Chat OpenAI exists, not because they are better than those other guys. And this is my view of the near future. And while if you are more of a with a marketer with a broader scope, so you also build funnels, you also do advertising, you also do automations, you work on metrics growth with a broader scope, there are many things where it can help, where you should use it. At this point, it's just stupid not to use it, because your competitor will if you don't. So that's why in the call I was mentioning in the beginning of our conversation, I told to my team, like, you need to find a way to involve this super powerful tool in your workflow, because we will get over time outcompeted by someone else who actually figured out a way to use it. And it's already powerful enough to make a difference as it is. We can only imagine how impactful it would be as long as they improve it, and then it also becomes able to interact with images and so on. So there are some areas that we identified that are still, at least at the moment, and in the near future, we believe domain of the human doing the marketing guy meaning consultancy, strategy, and relations. Of course, pure innovation, meaning that it is interesting how it can give different alternatives, even unrequested alternatives. But and please correct me if I'm wrong, but on the topic of pure innovation, so like inventing a marketing strategy, an A/B test, a new channel that is undocumented and no one ever invented before. For example, when I talk about innovating in marketing, I oftentimes quote the example of a guy from '94 who is kind of responsible for the invention of banner advertising in the digital world. So uh, if we discuss it today, it's such a cheap, stupid idea. Like, yeah, sure, an image can be a link, and the text can be part of the image. Sure, it's like offline advertisement, billboards, but online. Everyone does that. It's called Google Display, but it wasn't as widespread in '94. So this guy came up with this idea, came up with doing this shit, and no one else was doing this stuff. It was entirely non-observable and undocumented. And my question was, if in '94 uh, OpenAI was already there, could have OpenAI in the chat recommended this guy to invent the banner? And from what I know, I don't think so. So as long as you push innovation in marketing, as we do in growth hacking and experimentation, not only on optimizing best practices, A/B testing, but also on pushing the boundaries and doing stuff that's entirely new, that's still our shit. But only
Yeah.
if you're that aggressive with ideation and innovation. If you're not, 100% Chat OpenAI has got you covered. And that's good because it means it's still a piece of value that we can add on top of that. Then, of course, there's the technical shit, like setting up stuff, using every single tool. But I know that through APIs, a lot can be done and will be done even there. And then in general, another thing that we listed as one of the things that will still be domain of us marketing guys is connecting the dots between different different fields of knowledge, like making a connection between how you can optimize a landing page, but also this novel on history of ancient Romance that you read, and a quote from the general of the book, and the last meal you had, and a cool quote you read on Instagram, generating a new idea, and also connecting the dots between different different experience and different data sets coming from different platforms. And in here we switch from text as words to text as numbers, text as quantitative data. So working on many different channels in a same scenario, same client, we might work on meta ads, so Facebook, Instagram, but also Google ads, but also this other thing and this other thing. So as of now, the data set of Chat OpenAI is limited, and all the data of these different companies still remains inside the walls of the company. So Meta
Yeah.
has its own data of every campaign, Google has its own data of every campaign, TikTok and other thing, and so on. Talking about advertising, and by being agnostic and jumping from one platform to the other, you can find relations between things. So even if I had to write down every case history of a Facebook campaign, it would not be able to tell me insights and observation on how this compare to Google Ads or how
Yeah.
this compare to another thing. Uh, but on this topic also, I think about a friend of ours, Gabriele of Hybrida Marketing, working on Cassandra, a marketing mix modeling software using machine learning to do predictions on the optimal budget allocation. And I'm wondering, for example, that kind of tool, how does it work? You create your account, and then you need to upload your data set of historical data to train the algorithm. And what if I give this huge spreadsheet, not even that huge, to the chat as like upload document? it would probably enable the generative text to also understand the numbers and kind of do the same job that these tools are, but still within the conversational interface.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, but please elaborate, because I'm not an expert on this.
So no, I mean there's a few things. I wanna start from the last one, and then I wanna go to
Uh-huh.
the original ideas thing.
Yeah.
So you have to think that all those models are general models. Like what we are seeing right now, ChatGPT is a model that is designed to be able to talk about marketing and I don't know, write poetry and talk about nuclear physics and medicine. So they are made with the idea and the functionality of being kind of like a general one size fits all.
Mhm.
What shocks me is that it's still pretty expert in all those verticals. It's not like, if it's not like very wide and shallow, but it's very deep and wide at the same time. But if you want to have custom functionality, like embedding, for instance, a feedback loop, there's this thing that I was thinking about. I'm like, wait a second. When I'm running copy using AI for a Facebook ad, why the hell I don't use the clicks and the feedback loop that I get from Facebook to retrain the copy?
Yeah.
Like right now, Facebook basically tells you, hey, you want to do a bunch of campaigns? Cool. Just give me all the text, give me all the images, and then I'm going to choose between your options that are set and limited by my brain. I'm going to pick the one that works best, and I'm going to put more budget there
Yeah.
with some level of tailoring to the different people. But like, if you build custom technology that allows the language model to interpret all the signals coming from Facebook, then you could think about a specialized large language model just for advertising stuff like this. This would be killer. This is just like you're 10xing basically the game of running ads. Because before the flow was marketer thinks about different versions, gives it to
Cool.
Facebook.
By the way, you just reminded me
Mm.
that actually we found a little hack in doing this, because we did such
Mhm.
tests, kinda. And even though it doesn't handle images directly, when we ask them to write copy or optimize copy, we describe the images.
Yeah.
So and it's still, you see how it also works in taking the kind of input to then review it and give you
Yeah.
the output. So super interesting. You can just describe the advertisement, the creativity that you want to
It's
associate
insane.
to the copy, and it will elaborate also that, and it will also recommend, I will put a picture of a family with this and this and that. It can do that.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane, absolutely. But so when we're talking about these custom models, I think we're not going to see them coming from OpenAI. Because OpenAI is interested in doing something that is general, and
Sure.
I am supposing that some other company, maybe Facebook, is going to make their own. Facebook is actually in an amazing spot to make their own large language model that is available to people. But then they will build that, let's say, custom connection to use clicks and purchases as signal, not to choose the ad, but to actually refine the freaking copy. Like basically, I'm imagining a world where a marketer doesn't have to come up with an ad, come up with, the copy, the images. It just tells Facebook, here's my product, sell it. And Facebook
Yeah.
figures out the creatives, figures out all these things, and just pushes it to people, and then you go figure it out.
Yeah. And then you
So
double down the budgets, and they are happy.
exactly, more money.
That's their goal. Clearly, they will be more
Absolutely.
than happy to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they're happy if you're selling
Yeah.
more, because then you give them more money. But then
Absolutely.
there's I think I want to go back to the first thing that you were talking about, which is, can this stuff come up with new ideas? Because I think it's fairly complex, but there's one way to make this really actionable today. The complex thing is, are we sure that it's true that there's nothing that is not just pattern recognition? So a lot of the times I have ideas and I think, oh my God, I'm so creative. Like this idea came out of nowhere. Probably it's just my brain matching patterns of stuff that I've seen in the past, or somebody else has said that. So I don't know whether there's such thing as actual original new ideas. In theory, this model is not supposed to create actual original ideas. In practice, actually, I I think that could be possible. There's, for
Hmm.
instance, if you use GPT-3, there's one parameter called temperature. Temperature controls, like people say that it controls creativity. It actually does not control creativity, but it controls how varied its output is. Let's say I ask it, who is Gianluca? Who's Gianluca Mauro? Temperature 0 would be Gianluca Mauro is an Italian entrepreneur working in artificial intelligence. That's it. Temperature 1, it would try to broaden the spectrum of what Gianluca
Hmm.
Mauro could be. And it says Gianluca Mauro is an Italian entrepreneur who is passionate about pasta, is passionate about this, plays the guitar, since, it kind of tries to go broader. And
Hmm.
so I think push this concept to the extreme where you're saying, hey, explore as much as you can the space of whatever you've learned. It could come up with new knowledge. But in general, I think, and this is when it becomes really applicable today. Um, if you think about it, by definition, these large language models are sort of like the average of all human intellect.
Yep.
You take every human being that has ever written anything on the internet, and you just make a big, giant fucking average. What it means is that being average it's just not enough anymore, basically. I call this the death of mediocrity. Like there's no point. So either you are extremely good at a niche, or you're extremely good at doing what you were saying before, just like getting a bunch of different data sources that are completely different, so and then you can put them together. Or I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna hire an average copywriter.
Absolutely.
It makes no sense at all.
Yeah, yeah. I
So
was thinking. Sorry. Finish.
no. I just think that that's the way that we need to look at it. Like an average human being that is average in everything. I think it's even a little bit better than average on certain topics. That is constantly next
Hmm.
to you. It just eats energy.
Yeah,
That's how you're supposed to look at it. Not as a god, because a lot of people think, oh my god, this is a god. Like that would be the super intelligent AI. This is not. This is very. I don't think it's general artificial intelligence. I think it mimics general
yeah,
artificial intelligence really fucking well. And so
yeah,
it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck. It may as well be a duck, right? So it's sort of like a general, kind of dumb in certain fields, very freaking good at some other fields, but let's say an average human being that just next to you. That's how we should look at it.
yeah. I was thinking of a scenario because, of course, you talk about ideation and making new ideas, of course, inevitably we boil it down to how does creativity works, and of course, there's a
Mm,
super strong component of connecting the dots, and it can do that, of course. And I was wondering, uh, let's say going back to marketing. So let's say there is a certain number of articles and content that the AI knows about like the best practice to do event marketing. Now, I interact with GPT and I came up with, for some reason, for optimizing the copy, I kind of give out information in the forms of prompts about a new strategy that no one else was doing. So it kind of ends up into the training, into the model,
yeah.
because I'm talking about this new shit that only I am doing. And now it's in the database because I asked questions about it and this, but I came up with the shit. Now it's in the model. So the next time someone asks the AI to give like a bullet point list of the top 10 strategies to do event marketing, it can also show up my shit that I came up with. And this ties up because it's now trained also on that. So it might come up. And and this, I think, it also ties up to intellectual property and copyright, because like
Oh
if
yeah.
I told you my super secret strategy and then you told other people without even mentioning me, hey bro, fuck you, I came up with that shit, at least give me credit. And also, why are you giving that up free to others? Don't do
Yeah.
that. It's very, very
So
bad.
I made a post about this today. It's interesting because artists are obviously very pissed at the fact that their work has been used
Of course,
royalty free to build these
every
algorithms.
intellectual should be.
But if you think about it, like developers, there is a class action against, because for people who don't know, there are also tools meant to help developers write code faster. It's
Mhm.
called GitHub Copilot. There's another one called Codex
Sure,
from
sure.
OpenAI. There's a bunch. Um, so there is a class action against GitHub GitHub is a big, for people who don't know, I know you used it, is a big repository of open source code. Basically, developers go there and push their code for free. And it has been used to train those models. And it's technically against their license, because the license of all these things says, most of these things says you can do whatever you want with the code, but you need to credit me if you used it. And of course, OpenAI doesn't. I mean, all these algorithms don't tell you. By the way, I learned this from that guy. Also because it's just lost in the data. It's really hard to pinpoint exactly which repositories I learned this from, right? But I don't see a lot. I never met a developer that is pissed about this. So I know I can make a list of 200 artists that are pissed about this. So pissed that they're fighting against AI. How they're starting to create works of art intentionally mislabeled. So I create a work of art of a dog, and I said that that's a banana. Or they're starting to create art of, let's say, Walt Disney in a very, like gore kind of scenario, let's say, but at mass, like hundreds of people doing this. And then if Walt Disney said, you're using my image, and they say, well, I mean, I'm just got inspired by your mouse.
So desperate to slow down progress.
No, but they're fighting against this, and I get it. Like, I mean, I understand it. I wrote in my post on LinkedIn, I said, well, the easiest way to explain this, and it will be super fair, is that artists historically have always been the ones pushed down, right? They're the least privileged of the people that are attacked by this. But then there's another question that I think makes me think a lot. It's this concept that I read on a blog post of vibe shifts. So you remember when Unsplash came out?
Yeah.
So Unsplash is a website, for people who don't know, who is basically a collection of really good photographs, like really pro level, that you can download for free.
Yeah, and yeah. Just professional pictures where like the royalty has expired, so you can download for free instead of paying. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like do whatever you want with it. It's free. Go have fun. When that came out, I remember that a lot of websites started using them. And so suddenly, if you wanted to have a cool website before Unsplash, you had super pro pictures, because then everybody else had really stock, ugly stuff. And then suddenly, everybody has these freaking pictures. Everybody has super pro pictures. So if you wanted to be more premium, people started using sketches, started using, illustrations. Like this guy was saying, the reason why the web now is full of illustrations is because they're hard to do. And being cool means doing hard things for others to replicate. So I think there's also this other point of view, which is, well, if now writing pretty good copy is what everybody can do, the only way to make people notice you is to be different from really good copy. What's different from really good copy? I don't know. Suddenly shit copy is good? I have no idea, but there's this.
I actually did an experiment on that, and it can be, yes. One of my best performing LinkedIn posts is a post that was on purpose written as a freaking wall of text, like it was 1998 on the internet, and it got 70K views. Because you never see that shit, because it's against so many basic laws of web writing, and I went against those. It was new, it was eye-catching, like what the fuck, and it got a lot of results. So yeah, even as you were saying, the death of average, light of mediocrity, even so bad is different than mediocrity.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, true. Like maybe, just different. Basically, you just need to be very far away from average. I don't know. I mean, I think this concept of vibe shifts, of whenever something becomes democratic and becomes so spread, you just need to be different from that. You need to look for the next hard thing to do. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about signaling, right? So, I mean, you wear a Rolex because you want to signal, I am rich. Come to me because I can reproduce, increases my chances of reproduction. Cool. And if you're a business, having a website that looks expensive is the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, the Apple website is absolutely insane, for instance, right now. You scroll and there's shit coming in, shit coming out, and then iPhone's changing, and then, oh my God, it's insane. And I don't think they do that necessarily because it's cool. I think they do that because they can, and people are like, holy shit, they can? Wow, these guys must be loaded.
Yeah,
Like it
it's
gives that.
positioning.
Exactly. So I think how do you signal though when everybody is 90% perfect, I don't know. I honestly have no idea.
Yeah.
Hashtag made by real human, I don't know. It's like handmade, in like when you put a stamp handmade on a guitar, whatever, and now you're gonna put human written on a website. I don't know. I have no
Yeah.
idea, honestly.
I think
It's really hard to
yeah,
predict.
an interesting test would be to do like a kind of a sommelier test, like because again, it boils down to what on one end creativity is, and on the other end, from the end of of the person who consumes creativity, what aesthetics are based on. So just I have nothing against those artists, of course, but I really like to see them like uh, as users, as art fans, judging 100, 1,000 pieces of art of indie artists with some AI generated shit in it, and see not based on what's best, but like what do you like? What do you like? And and the real reason is, I think one of the reasons they are mad is comes out of the realization that they thought what they do is unique, and it might not be anymore.
Yeah.
It's unique and human, and it's
Yeah.
not unique nor human anymore. And as a user, and if as a user you yourself, as a person who does art, can enjoy and get aesthetical pleasure and aesthetical projection from something that was generated by a machine, then you should not judge other people from preferring AI generated something compared to the stuff that you do. uh,
Absolutely. I think you're
it's
touching on
That's also human. That's also human.
yeah, I think you're touching on one of the super this is so important, I think. And this is one of the things that I love the most about AI, which is it sounds super corny, but like I feel like AI has helped me understand me better,
Oh yeah.
you know? It's like you look at those biases and you're like, holy shit, that's me, you know? And then you start thinking about, oh my God, what biases do I have? At the same time, this I think is taking human intellect and bringing it down from its pedestal. Like you think
Yeah.
you're smart, you're a fucking parrot on steroids. You're a very
Yeah.
smart parrot.
I can
You
do a
learn
thousand of those in 1 second. Brrr.
exactly like just no, yeah. But also like I think once you know how the sausage is made, like all these AI is doing nothing more than predicting what's the next
Sure.
best word, right? So maybe we do just the same. I don't know. I want to talk. Actually, there's a friend of mine who's a professor of philosophy in Peru. I want to talk to him about this because I feel like this is just making me, put under discussion what does it mean to be smart and how does my brain function. Maybe I think that I am doing some super complex thoughts, but maybe I'm just a prediction machine that is trying to predict what is the likely thing to happen when I drop this. Well, my brain has seen millions of things dropping, so I know that likely this is just gonna go down like this. Okay, cool. Maybe thinking is the same thing. Maybe the words that I'm saying now is just my brain that is making a prediction of what are the most likely words that should come up after this. Refrigerator. You didn't expect that, right? So you see, I can also put completely random words in the mix. But this is just making a lot of people, I think, depressed because they're like, "Holy shit, who am I?"
Yeah,
I
like
thought,
so
that,
much of what I knew, of what I thought I knew, is actually obsolete or irrelevant or commoditized from a
yeah,
business or a personal perspective.
yeah. There's a friend of mine who's an artist, and she literally had nightmares and trouble sleeping when Dolly came out. I interviewed her, to me, the most interesting thing is that we've been discussing about why this is fucked, and she has a very interesting thesis, which she says my biggest problem is that I just like so much doing art, and this thing is
I
just
know.
taking a lot of the things that I like doing. But then I asked her, yeah. So do you like using Midjourney more or Dolly? And she's like, I don't know, I never used any. I'm like, wait. We've been talking for 6 months about the problems with AI. You haven't used it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I don't want to give money to the company, which I mean, fair enough. But like, you should at least fucking use it, you know? But
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that makes you, like, I honestly understand her. Like, she's just so internally upset and moved and shaken
Yeah, yeah,
that she struggles logging in. She's been postponing the moment because I keep, making her accountable and be like, hey, did you try that? It's like, not yet. I'm gonna do it next week, like when you need to, break up with your partner, you're like, I'm gonna do it next week, and you're scared doing that. You're scared the moment you're gonna click login, create account, put your credit card, generate this, and like, fuck, it's better than me. Like you're just so afraid of the moment you're just pushing it forward. Yeah, I mean, this is gonna also psychologically, I think, touch a lot of
yeah,
people.
yeah. It can be
Um,
heavy. Absolutely, absolutely. On the other hand, I will also ask myself, like, but what what do I like about doing pictures or writing a book? Because on the other end, it's not preventing you from do that. Do
yeah,
you write just because you aim to one day be Tim Ferriss bestseller reader with 10,000 million fans stopping you on the street? Is that the reason why you're writing a book? So it doesn't really, of course, perspective change will change. It is changing the perspective of what you do with the book once it's written. But if you really enjoy the process, AI can take that from you. Can take that from you. And as
yeah,
we were saying, there will be another paradigm where still human-made shit as a place and a value. It might be a nostalgic value, an archaeological value, I don't know, but it for sure it will have value. And also, we also made AI, so we made AI part of that art. It's our art. It's kind of an elaboration of our way of thinking about art, the other art that we did, and a meta thinking on how art should be that's been impaired by an algorithm, also designed by a human. So there, in a very, very weird and hard to explain way, there's humanity also in that.
yeah. And I think, I mean, that's a great way of closing this. I think,
Oh yeah,
my hope is that now we're all traumatized because nobody really thought
yeah.
that this was, yeah, So
But
you're like,
like that, it's like really now, like now.
I thought I had 10 years more,
Yeah, not 10, but 5, 3. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. So I
A
think
solid 3.
as yeah, solid 3 years of
Come on.
relevance for humankind. I think now we're just punched in the face, and I'm honestly really curious to see in 6 months from now. I am just so interested in seeing how this is gonna play out. And I think what we should do is just talk again in like, I don't know, 6 months or something, and
Oh
see
yeah.
whether your company started a copywriting business that it's lying to customers and which is gonna be illegal by the EU AI acts, by the way. But whatever, we'll see how it goes. So let's do this again in a few months, okay?
Absolutely.
Cool.
More
Thank you. It
than
was so much
welcome.
fun, Luca.
Thank you. Thank you, as always.
Thank you for watching my conversation with Luca Barboni. If you're interested in staying up to date on technology and how tech is changing our lives, subscribe to Tech Pizza. It's my weekly newsletter where I cover every week the most important things happening in tech with a special focus on AI because that's my background, but it's also, I think, the coolest thing happening today, as you probably realized from this conversation. I hope I'm gonna see you in your inbox. Bye.